on here. There we go. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? Welcome to a special edition of Table Talk. You know, where I come on and I bring on some amazing people out in the community, and you get to hear their stories and what's going on with them, and how you can help and empower them, as well as inspire yourself to go after and help them, and help and support them in all ways possible. But I also think that we need to connect and hear their story. Everyone has a story, and everyone doesn't like to share the story. But I have amazing guests on here that will share their story, as well as you did see up here in the right hand corner over here. Look over here in the corner over here, where at the table is also my returning guest as well. So I'm gonna bring on the guests first, and it will be Deshawn from At the Table. Hello, Deshawn.
Hello.
How
Hi.
are you?
Good evening. Thank you for having
Welcome.
us.
Yes, and welcome. And then our special guest here, who is Tanya. We are hopefully her
Hello.
husband will be able to join us. But before we get into this powerful, amazing story, as we want to do, first of all, Deshawn, if you can introduce yourself to everybody and tell everybody less than a minute who you are and what you do.
Now you see, she said less than a minute. So, so no. Good evening. Thank you, Pamela. We first of all, we want to give you your flowers and appreciate you for the hard work that you do with empowering women and getting us on these platforms to speak and be heard. So I commend you. Thank you so much. My name is Deshawn Johnson, and I am the executive director of At the Table. And At the Table, we're here serving Central Ohio. We're a nonprofit organization since 2017, and we basically advocate for the health and wellness of women and girls through with a focus on African American women cancer survivors. And in addition to that, we empower young girls through our Thrive Girls Mentorship Program. And we have a scholarship named after co-founder Denise Pittman that supports young girls, high school graduating girls up to the age of 26 that has been impacted by cancer. And we have some programs and initiatives around the support of the women cancer survivors and the girls, as well as our actual fundraiser that's coming up.
So we'll get to talk about the fundraiser, which everybody, before I let Miss Tanya talk, everybody grab your pen and paper, because you're going to get to hear some nuggets, as well as some information that you can take with you at the end of today's show. And so without further ado, welcome, Miss Tanya. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Still on cloud nine for my big double nickel.
It's her birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Yes.
Beautiful queen.
Yes. So tell everybody, less than a minute, tell everybody a little bit about you, and then we'll get into the story.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. My name is Tanya Kelly. I am a newly awesome advocate. I am a fourth grade educator and bullying prevention speaker. I am all about thriving and navigating the new world that I'm in as an ostomy warrior, but also as a educator in the classroom. I'm raising a family, and I'm using my voice to make a change. Has been a year of a journey and surviving from surgery, but still standing tall. So I'm here for the real talk, some fun, some humor, but also to be able to share some advocacy of what an ostomy is, and how, as caregivers, and with this being men's mental health, really sharing the side of my husband, because he is my caregiver still, and how we can make sure that our men are uh, getting their flowers also, because a lot of our husbands and significant others are caregivers.
Absolutely. So as we are focusing on the men's mental health, so let's start with them first, and then we'll get in more in depth into your story. So my question to you, Tanya, is how what were some of the emotional challenges your husband had faced that we may not have seen?
Because for him, it was the fact that he was taking care of me 24 hours a day. So when this onset happened of my medical condition,
Yes.
he was literally picking me up out of the bed, taking me to get washed, get dressed. I couldn't cook for myself. He had to take time away from work, numerous months, and sometimes that plagues on your job performance, but as well as your job time. A lot of times we don't know how our jobs are going to perceive you when you're beginning to take care of your loved one, and a lot of jobs are not um, helpful in that regard. A lot of times you don't know what your insurance really pays for and
Mm,
what you're really qualified for until you have these emergencies. So for him, it was really a lot of um, understanding what I had because at first we didn't know what it was. And so there was days and days that he was at the hospital. The first 90 days I was in the hospital and we didn't know, but he was still going to work. But he also was taking care of his mother who has some medical, challenges also. So he would leave my hospital bed at 12 and then get on the road and get there at 2, take care of his mom, and then come back to work by 8. And so he did that for over 6 months. So it was a
Mhm.
grueling schedule, and you really don't, because men don't talk about it, don't
right,
talk about their health
right.
issues and challenges. They just keep trudging through, but you'll see it when they're asleep. You'll see it when they're in their face and how things start to break down. They're not always communicated. Um, and they have their own fears and sometimes they're so afraid to even share those fears because it almost puts another burden on the person that going through the health crisis.
So how did he handle the stress as you've seen the stress on him and all that you're going through? How did he handle the stress?
A lot of times he got in. He is an avid bowler as well as he loves to golf, and so he finds those times of camaraderie around his guy friends, his best friends of going golfing and bowling. He loves watching sports, and so just sometimes trying to give them that space when you want to still ask for something, or you feel that, oh my gosh, I need you to be right here with me. You have to really give them that time. He does some. He loves playing sports games, reading, but a lot of times it's him finding other, men that's surrounding him to give him that outlet, and then you have to be okay to give them that outlet, even though you want them to really be there with you. And sometimes when they leave, you have to kind of care for yourself. You have to make time, and those are things that I had to learn over this
So, and
journey.
I get that. As a married woman, I get it. You're trying. You see what they're going through, and as you're going through. I can only imagine what you're going through. We'll let everybody know what you're going through in just a minute. But I wanted to talk about the mental health. And so, as any man that's going through this, or knows someone that's going through, what would he should say to them currently right now?
What he would say was like sometimes it's like acknowledge that it's okay to struggle. I think sometimes as men, not gonna say sometimes, most men, we don't really know how to release that acknowledgement because then it becomes a place of vulnerability, and it's okay. And that's where you have to seek out that help. It's not a weakness. That's what my husband would say. It's not a weakness. Making sure that you find time sometimes throughout the day as well as throughout the week to just find time for you. Talk to someone you trust, a friend, a family, a therapist, a support group. Like I have, he says, my support group is bowling and golfing, and those are times that he can just forget about everything that's happening that's surrounding him and just enjoy that time and really just release, the days happening. He said also check your body. He said when I first got sick, because I've been sick prior to this, I'm a cancer survivor, but this health crisis really took us to like ground zero. And
Mhm.
so he said he depleted himself for many, many weeks. He wasn't eating, he wasn't hydrating, he wasn't sleeping. So he said, make sure you're checking on your body. Make sure you exercise if that's what you do. Make sure that you're drinking. At least you have 2 meals a day. Um, get some sleep. Try to get some sleep. It is okay to take a sleep aid. That's what our doctor was telling us. It's okay, especially when you're caregiving for someone like around the clock. He said, identify your feelings. You know, those are things that I kept pushing him to share. You know, don't just say fine or okay, or really having an open mind to really share, because I think sometimes we, as we are, married women or even women who have caregivers, we really don't know what the caregiver is going through because they mask it through, oh, I'm okay, I'm fine. And when they're really angry, they're really upset, they're really just tired. And so you're really just kind of pushing them to the limit and not really checking in to see if they're okay. And then his last one, he said, take breaks. He said, when you're overwhelmed, he said, step outside. He said that, through this year, he has started doing a lot of walking since he works in an area where he can get to small restaurants. He said at first he would just sit at his desk. He said now he literally gets out. He meets other guys that's in his department and he meet up for lunch. They go for a walk. And those are things that he really rarely did. But now he's making it a pact to get out at lunchtime and not sit down, because that's when that overwhelmed feeling happens. Versus when you're out walking, you can release some of that extra energy or stress.
Absolutely.
That's great. So let's go back to identifying. Go ahead. Go ahead, Deshaun.
Yeah, if I just have a couple points to add on to that, and I thought that very, very good points. And I think when you really talk about the mental health aspect, I just want to just look at more of an extreme case where maybe I think it's important. Generally, mental illness starts with chemical imbalances in the brain.
Mhm.
And I think that it's important that in those extreme cases where you talk about mental health, then you talk about like really paying attention to that. And you may not know what's going on, but to pay attention to that chemical imbalances, because those are real. And then seek out resources and whatnot. And then maybe getting maybe if it's more long term, caregivers, those exercises are good, but sometimes they need like a 3-day break if it's a long-term situation. And I can say this just with my grandfather, when my parents, there are other Medicaid or different resources out there that can really support the caregivers by giving them stays, giving that patient maybe or that loved one a stay outside of the home into a facility, maybe for 3 days, and giving them that mental break and that physical break. So just wanted to add those 2 points, and I know we'll get into it more at the end with the resources that are actually available, but wanted to make those 2 points. And then
Great.
we have a guest. We see.
Welcome, Mr. How are you?
Hello, ladies. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Well, welcome,
Just,
welcome.
been running issues. Doing all right.
Well, I appreciate you kind of taking time out of your schedule to sit down and talk with us. I will respect your time. I know you're at work. But Mr. Kelly, I want to hear from you as you are the caregiver. First of all, tell us how do you feel about it? And knowing that all that is going on, how do you deal with it?
Oh, first, as far as feeling about it, I mean, it's just something that you got to do because before Tanya came down with this particular illness, I've been doing a lot of traveling back and forth to Cincinnati for my mom and dad. So it's nothing new. It's just be honest with you, it's a lot of strain on you at times. I'm trying to split myself between two different households, and it's been rough. Been a lot of late nights on the road, running back and forth from Cincinnati, getting back to Tanya at the hospital. But just got to do what you got to do, and try to keep her mindset cool, calm, and collected, and keep her in a good frame of mind while she's getting back on the health, getting her health back.
And I totally and I agree with you. But then this is also, but you have
Yeah.
you're taking care of everybody else, and but there's still you. How did you take care of just you? And also not being, and not, it's not a selfish move. It is honestly, you have to take care of you. So how
Yeah.
do you just think of you first? What did you do?
Basically, just in my kind of peace of mind was mainly if I had to, like I said, I would stay with Tanya some nights about 12:30. Then I would get on the road, run to Cincinnati, and that drive, that little drive would be kind of my peace of mind. Throw some music on and just kind of, let the window down and just get some air in my face, and that would kind of, that'd be my peace of mind for that time being. But and also uh, talking to a couple of my friends,
Good.
leaning on them quite a bit, just talking to them, and they kind of pushing, gave me encouraging words just to keep rolling, and they always had a hand out if they needed something. If I needed something, they would, wouldn't have no problem stepping in and helping me out.
That's good. Because I know I know it is stressful. My dad watching my mom going through cancer and watching my dad going through it, so I totally understand the stress that this can bring on to you. And it is nice to have that support group. Do you still talk to your support group as we speak now?
Oh yeah, we pretty much touch base every day. Yeah, I
That's
mean, if it ain't through a text or just a send a little crazy something off Instagram to get a laugh, just something to get you through the day. Because I was laughing at something today. Somebody sent me a Tanya kept asking me, "What are you laughing at?" It's just something wild. So we always send bounce crazy stuff off each other just to take your mind off what you got going on for a few minutes.
That's good. So let me ask you this, and again, with all the stress, how did you deal with the stress of this?
Oh man, that's something you try to put on the back burner because that what you got going on is, I mean, is kind of small in comparison to whatever, like what Tanya was going through, is smaller comparison. So you try to put that on the back burner and just keep giving encouragement and keep pushing to tell her everything gonna get better. You just got to keep rolling, keep praying to God, and just put it in His hands and let Him take it. But mainly, I try to keep that on the back burner and try to keep my stress on a separate page.
I have a
Go
question.
ahead, Tanya. I mean, Tanya. Sorry. Go ahead, Deshauna. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah, I just have a question, and it's because it's interactive. So as a male, and then let's just say African American male, you guys are always looked to be strong no matter what. Like you are the strong person. Was it difficult at all for you to reach out and say, you know what? I mean, maybe, I need some support outside of your family going, as you refer to your support group. Was it kind of a like, no, a man, was it hard? Or did someone have to ask you? Or did you openly, say, I need that support?
Nah, the crew I roll with, them jokers, they are asking a heartbeat. They ain't got there, got a couple boys in Cincinnati. Tell me all the time, you need me, come down to the house, to my mom's house, do something. Got a couple up here. Ain't no hesitation whatsoever. They all
Awesome.
about encouragement, and they always tell me if I need something, just reach out, and ain't no problem.
That's good.
Vice versa for them. So ain't no problem.
That's good.
Yeah.
So if we have the podcast touches men and women around the world. If there was someone sitting here listening to us and they can relate to your story, what would be one thing you would like to tell them right now?
Oh man, basically just keep faith in God as much as you can, and basically, like I said, is try not to show that you kind of stressed out because trust me, that'll lead down another path mentally, in my opinion, that that I'm being a burden, whoever that person you're taking care of, I'm being a burden, and then that'll, in my opinion, that'll cause another like physical issue to pop up, as far as probably mentally, but it also can cause some type of physical lapse as well. So my thing is, if you can just somehow just keep your emotions in check, once you get outside of there, then that's kind of when you sit. I got some days I'll like if I would leave the hospital. I would just sit in the car for a few minutes, just to cool out, just close my eyes for a little bit, and just 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 let it fly off the shoulders for a little bit. But my main thing is just if you're in that situation, try to keep your personal emotional stress, in your back pocket as much as you can, because it's not going to do nothing but worsen whatever situation that you're in. Because it's just going to cause more harm than good.
Well, I appreciate you. I think this, I men need to hear this. And we need to have more of these talks because so many men, as Deshaun said, especially as an African American man, you guys carry on so much on your shoulders, and to let go what's on your shoulders is hard. And truthfully, it is hard, especially what's going on in society as we speak today.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
triple hard. Look, I was going to use my own word, create my own word, so let me not do that. But it makes it's just a triple threat to you all. So I commend you that you have created a good support system, because I think that's also one thing that we need to talk about is the support system, because there's not some men don't want to have that support system. They feel they need to keep it to the home. So I have to give you your kudos there, where you are willing to have the your male friends, fellows, come in and support you, and you're okay with that. And I want men to see that you are okay, and it's okay to be that way. We need to
Yeah.
break down that stigma that it isn't okay when that's a lie, and as well as that you talk about it. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
we're doing that as well.
Yeah.
And then I think when you say put your emotions on the back burner, I know, and then my thinking, it's in the situations where you have to be strong for your spouse, partner. But I think it's okay that you can get overwhelmed, you can get
Oh
anxiety,
yeah.
and you don't want to hold that in. It has to be a release. So that release can be, again, in a safe place, like for your example, with your friends, and with your friends that you're safe with, that you know that you can go to them. And that's really a release of your emotions. For those that may not have that, I think, reaching out, um, maybe to at church, counseling, and then there's some other services here, but I think the peer support group is good. But men, I think it's okay for you to release your emotions in a positive way, in a safe way.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to have somebody that you can feel comfortable with, and say what you got to say, and and it's held in confidence, and they're gonna give they input on it, like what they think about it, and I mean, you just got to find somebody you're comfortable with.
Yeah,
That's the main thing.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Okay, we're going to take a little bit off of you, Mr. Robert. I appreciate you.
Hey, well, I apologize for y'all ladies for getting in here late, because I was still in here fooling around with this camera. I was doing a
yeah.
YouTube tutorial real quick, sitting there pushing buttons. So I know I'm probably deleted something on here on this phone. So
And
Tanya,
this one right here, I know that she ain't going nowhere. She as soon as she gets some energy, she gonna be right back.
oh yeah,
She
oh
gonna be
yeah,
right back on her
she
square.
yeah,
she already
she back,
started.
yeah,
I
she
was just going to say, she already
I'm
halfway.
like,
She already,
you
she
can't
already
keep Tanya
leaving.
down. You
yeah, she back up and running. She
Yeah,
back up and running. Yeah, that engine about at 98% right now.
right.
For real. That's what we doing. That's what
and
we
I
do. Each other
love
secrets.
it.
The household secrets.
Guys, look,
I
I
love
don't
it
want us to add
because
fuel to the fire to the house. So let me say
because
it all over here on
energy,
my
ener-
side. But you're right, Mr.
energy is
Kelly.
everything. Energy is
Ah,
everything. So
It is.
your energy is everything, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
It is
that
true.
engine back up and running. So that ain't, yeah. So
She ready
you
to
know,
go.
oh yeah,
She already
Praise
been going and going again and a going and a going. With that
God.
being
go
said,
it again.
Tanya, real quick, what impact did Robert's support have on your emotional and physical well-being?
That's a question for me.
Yes.
It was everything. I think, when you're going through a situation, it doesn't matter if it's um, a hard medical condition or even an easy one. Having that support, like Bob said, it helps you because when you're getting information from the doctors and you're having nurses come in your house and you are really, like for me, I was this health condition, I was dependent solely on my husband and my family for over a year. And when I say solely, that means I wasn't cooking, I wasn't dressing, I wasn't working. You talk about financial woes. It's everything. And you like you said, you really don't know how the caregiver is faring until they share. And those are things that I get to always keep asking about, like how you doing, and not just fine. Those are things that I'm learning with the therapist. Like sometimes it takes a minute for men to really come and share just because they're married, or with a significant other. They still, it's like that pride, it's just a culture. And for us being African American people, we didn't share. The men was always the one that hold the stake to the ground. And so when I think about my dad, there's a lot of things that my mom carried because that was what we were supposed to do as a people. And
Right.
now we're unlearning those habits, those
Yes.
generational habits, and we're talking about mental health because so many times our men have passed away at early ages because of stress and the ideal that I could not share. And those
Right.
are things that I don't want. So we're still learning how to share and how to be vulnerable in these spaces because a man and a woman, we have certain things that we should be holding on to. And as a man, it's always like I say, at the stake. They should never have any opinions. They shouldn't have any worries. They shouldn't share their worries or their fears or when I'm tired. Those are things that we are now starting to hear. And it's just great to hear that because now I
Mhm.
can better help you and say, okay, you know what? I can wait. Or if you want to go out, finding that time for him to go out when,
Mhm.
and just finding a woo way to communicate. And sometimes you don't realize how you are stressing, how all the stressors until a medical situation does happen.
Mm.
That's
And then it
true.
affects, it doesn't just affect you, it affects your family, your spouse, and if that spouse becomes your caregiver, now they're doing a dual role on top of everything else to make the house go. So,
I agree.
That's good, Tanya. In the strategies for supporting mental health, the first one is open communication and
yeah.
being able to communicate.
And
So
it's
that's
hard. Like Baba tells you, it's days that was hard
you
to
know,
communicate
I
yeah,
because they're so used to a man being the strong person, and
that's
then they're just finding that vulnerability in themselves to release and just tell you, you know, what's happening and how they're feeling. To me, it helps me to understand when those times are very stressed. I can see it, but it's better when you're able to like for men, verbalize it. Tell your spouse, tell your significant other, tell your family member, because we can see it, but we still might not always think that you're stressed
right.
when you really are.
That's
Right.
so true.
Very
So,
true.
here's a question I want to put to the group. As we have come into this amazing platform and we're talking today, what's one myth we want to break down today about men's mental health? What do we want to do? What do we want everybody to know about men's mental health? Tanya.
That men have feelings. Men have feelings, and
Mr.
it's okay for them to have feelings.
Mr. Robert, can you say anything? I know you're driving.
Um, Basically, like I said, like Tanya said, that we do have feelings too, and it's just basically um, Sign into your vehicle before driving. Just try to be cool, calm, and collected as you can. That's all I can say, and just be mindful of each other's feelings in this situation, because whatever situation you in or whatever you got going on, it's tough. And like I said, you can't read nobody's mind what they're thinking, but um, just communicate as best as you can. That's the best advice I can give. And like I said, but if you, like I said, you're under that stress bubble under you, just try to, like I said, just try to keep it in your back pocket as much as you can, because whoever you're doing the caregiving for, that's the bigger picture.
I great appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm glad again, this is a place that we want people, we're trying to break down the barriers where, to to keep it concealed is not the thing. We're here to talk about it and it's okay to talk about it and also create that support group because so many men you don't hear I have a support group. Let's be honest, especially with the men in our community. They don't. Many of them don't. I
Mhm.
don't. So hearing this is another thing that I want men around the world to know that it's okay to have that support group with you and not to be feeling ashamed about it. That you need it. Even Mr. Robert just talked about. He's glad he has it. He has them too. He has two. One here in Columbus and one in Cincinnati. So that's even
Mhm.
it's double blessed, and that's
Mhm.
as well. So with that, I know everyone's like,
And
now you just
for
keep talking,
driving.
Tanya, can you tell everybody what you are faced with and all that?
Mm, right. For me, it started in December 2023. I never imagined I would have to learn to live with an ostomy. For a
Mm.
long time, almost about 4 months, I lived in pain, but I was still pushing through it each day. I was trying to hide how sick I was, but I was exhausted. I was scared, and then the mobility to walk left. And so here I was. This is now the new year of 2024. I had a new job. I was working in a new capacity, something that I worked so hard for. And in a matter of moments, it was gone. And it's like I was planning my life around hospital stays, ER stays, bathroom accidents, and flare ups. And so, March of 2024, my doctor told me I had to have an ostomy. I knew what an ostomy was because I've worked in the hospital setting before, and I always thought it was like everybody always think an ostomy bag or an ostomy is like an older, like a senior citizen, 60 and over. And so, when it was told to me, I was terrified. I was like, how is this? I'm used to being a going person. I was traveling. I had just had opened up a new building for my business, and everything just crumbled around beside me. And even then, I really didn't know what an ostomy was, per se, and how it was affecting my body. So my ostomy, I have an ileostomy, and so that means the small intestine is outside of my body, and my waste goes into what's called an ostomy bag. And my ileostomy came from two herniated discs. So I'm about one, maybe 5% of globally that has had an ostomy bag through two herniated discs. So the herniated disc shut down my nervous system. So it is your, I always get them mixed up, but it's like your S5 and your L1. And so those nerves started pressing on my disc, and so they became bulgy, and so it shut down my digestive system and it shut down my nervous system. So prior to that, I was having 20 days to 30-day hospital stays in agony. Didn't know what was happening. The doctors did back surgery on me in February. If I go
Mm.
back to February 2024, I had back surgery to relieve one of the discs. The smaller disc is still on my nerves, which is causing me to have neuropathy. But at that time, they thought that was going to be like almost like the fix. And come to find out, it wasn't. I got worse. And so throughout those hospital stays, I complicated committing suicide. And I say it out loud is because
Yes.
it was where I was at. I didn't want to live. I had lost my house, my car, my job, my businesses, everything just was gone. Everything that I worked for, it was gone. And I didn't know how to feel. And I closed myself off. But I didn't want nobody to come to the hospital and see me. I wouldn't let nobody call. I didn't take calls. I became very depressed. And so when you think about statistics surrounding ostomies, especially for African Americans, there's many, many African Americans that don't even share. Like, uh, there's groups on Facebook that have 10,000 people in these groups, and they don't share with their family. Their colleagues don't know. Their, people that are close to them don't even know that they have an ostomy bag. And the surgery is not easy. Most ostomy patients, we have multiple surgeries, and it's not just in a 1 hour surgery. I'm talking about 8 hour surgeries
Mm.
that we're having to repair hernias, repair our stomach, uh, removing colon, uh, your rectum, moving major body parts. And it's not just from cancer. A lot of patients do have Crohn's, IBD, IBS. They have cancer of the colon, and a lot of our men, we see it when they had a gunshot wound or they have colon cancer. For me, mine came from like the nervous system, so it shut down my mobility to walk. And so when that happened, I was confined to a wheelchair for months, and I had to come home. I had to go to a nursing home back in the end of March, 1st of April, and that was petrified. I was terrified because I was like,
Yes.
here I'm in a nursing home with again senior citizens having an ostomy bag, and I was made to think that it was okay. It was okay. You're gonna snap back, and I didn't snap back. I end up going septic. I had an NG tube, in for many of my hospital stays. The recovery is enormous. It's overwhelming. So I started working in August, and I took a job at Kip Columbus, where I'm at now, and I went out in October. My colon shut down completely. So it was already dead, and there was a lot of things that I couldn't even have surgery prior from December 23 till August because my body on the inside out was still not healed.
Mhm.
And here I was having another surgery so soon, but I was as a new employee. So when you're saying ostomy, people who have medical conditions that deal with gastrointestinal and digestive systems, those are very hard surgeries. And so a lot of times you don't know what your insurance even takes care of until you have this major surgery. And so there was many nights that I was in a hospital bed fighting the insurance company to pay for daily supplies that I needed because it was medically necessary. And you're, you know, trying to learn the lingo of your diagnosis.
Right.
And a lot of times we know the diagnosis, but we don't know the impact or how do we come from that?
Right.
How do we get
Mhm.
better? And those things are always separate, but they don't never close that gap for you. So you might know the prognosis and you might know the diagnosis, but then you don't know what's the call of action. Like, how do I get better? And as a newly ostomy, I was learning how to have this new body. I had to learn how to change my bag. I had to learn how to handle leaks. And when we say leaks, when the waste comes out of your bag for whatever reason, it could be the sweat, it could be from you just, I'm a teacher, just walking around, and how to look at yourself with compassion instead of shame. And I was shamed. I will tell you, there was days that I would not even leave my room except for to go to the doctors because I was so afraid because I had already had some incidents where I had leaks that caused an accident. And so you have waste on the floor, you have waste in front of the
Yeah.
public. And I would wear the biggest clothes, like two sides of my clothes, so that I could, keep from letting people know that I had an ostomy bag. And then one night at 12 o'clock midnight, I met 14 ladies, and they were in this ostomy group, and they all had an ostomy bag. But the best thing about it, most of them were African American, and they
Mhm.
had an ostomy bag for like some one young lady. She had an ostomy bag and a urostomy bag since she was three.
Wow.
Um, the one lady has a support group in Cleveland. She has had hers for 38 years, but this was like the first time she
Mhm.
shared. And
Right.
so as I was talking to these ladies, and then I met this young woman named, she was 30 years old. She had an ostomy bag for like 2 years. It was like here was this support group because I
Mhm.
didn't know nobody that I knew had an ostomy bag. You know, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to tell people. And
Right.
so every day I would contemplate taking my life. And
Mhm.
that's just being honest, like living in fear of what people were going to say about me, what people, because I had lost my business. Things were flourishing. And all of a sudden it was like gone. And
Right.
so I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know what to say to people when they would ask. I would get stopped in the store,
Mhm.
and people would think I had a gun on me because it's protruding because it was when you're first healing from an ostomy surgery, your stomach is real, is bulging, and
Mhm.
so you're trying to navigate going into the store. I was navigating how to walk again, and so October surgery came. They pulled my full colon, but I went septic, and so again, trying to navigate the recovery. I think that's what was the most is the recovery time that you really don't know
Yes.
how to deal because as soon as you recover, you're having another surgery. And
Mhm.
then what happened right in January? I was right back in the hospital again for another almost 30-day stay where I had two open wounds, all through hernia. So when you have an ostomy, they're cutting a 3-inch hole in your stomach to pull a portion of your intestine, either your large intestine, which is a colostomy, or your small intestine, which is an ileostomy. or your bladder with a urostomy. So some ostomates, as they call us, they have both. And so you're navigating feeding tubes, you're navigating nutrition, how to eat, because most things you're not able to eat. And from the mouth to your esophagus to your stomach is about 30 minutes, and then it's empty. So I was starving myself, I was ravishing food. It was just it was so much anguish. And I was still teaching all the while, but nobody knew. And, go back to at the table. Every time I would get to that place of wanting to check out, Deshaun would call, Pam would call, Bob would call, Meredith, just my support group would call at that moment. And then I was able to go to an awesome event back last year in October, and I got to meet them in person. And we have became the best of friends, and
Wow.
they are literally my lifeline
Mm.
because they've had these major surgeries also, and to see how much resilience they are.
Yes.
And it took my life away. And those last surgeries that I've had, I had open wounds. And God, the doctor said, you know what, Tanya, you're not going to be back to work for 6 months. And that's what I was telling you, ladies. And I was like, what? I'm going to miss the last, because I already had missed the third grading period, the full 9 weeks of school. And I said, all
Mhm.
I asked God was like, please keep me here so I can see my students, promote to the fourth grade. And God did that. But not only did he did that, he allowed me to share my story. It was my story, it wasn't quiet. It was brass. It was bold because I was afraid that I was drowning in my own mental, that I had to start sharing it. So I started
Mhm.
sharing it on TikTok, and it started grabbing attention. And it was also a way for me, just like I told you earlier, Pamela, that it was a way
Yes,
for me to
yes.
release that anguish that I was
Right.
feeling every day, the
Mhm.
feeling of wanting to leave because it's real. Mental health is real. And
Yes,
then
it is.
all the high powered medicines that they're accumulating in your body, and you're getting hooked to these medicines. And now it's that chemical imbalance. So now you're emotional, your
Yeah.
financial woes are bearing down on you because you've had surgery after surgery, and you're trying to find just a medium to it, and you still don't. And you're paying for out of pocket expenses for ostomy supplies that are covered under DM. Like, so every time I ask for, I'm getting my ostomy supply, it's almost like I'm paying for a wheelchair. And so, you know, trying to let legislators know, because it starts from the national
Yes.
level of what we as ostomates or gastrointestinal illnesses and what we're dealing with, because it's a hidden disease. You will never see it from the naked eye. You'll never know if this person has an ostomate or Crohn's disease or cancer unless their hair fall out. But if they don't have those attributes, you will never know unless they share. And so for
Right.
me, it became this lifeline for me to share on TikTok and on my social media page. And eventually, here I am. It gave my life back. And now, you know, it's okay to grieve. It's
Mhm.
okay to be
Yes.
scared. It's okay to
Yes.
not know. Like Deshaun just said, it's okay to say that chemical imbalance is there, but how do
Yes.
I overcome that? How
Right.
Yeah.
do I find mental
Help.
health? And I had to
Yes.
go find a therapist. There are mental health therapists that are
Yes.
there to help you find
Yes.
that good place, because it also, you have to grieve that old life. That was what was
Right.
happening for me. I was grieving my old life, and Bob
Mm.
will tell you, I didn't know how to move forward. I didn't know how to. So people saw me on the outside, was like, oh my gosh, she's at work and she's smiling. But all the while I was drowning in my guilt, my grief, and like, the why, God, I worked so hard to get to this place.
Right.
You know how we
Right.
have
Right.
different momentums and places and goals that we want, and when we get to those goals and then they all go away, you start and blaming God. And that's what I had to come back to church. I hadn't been to church in over 20 years. And it brought me back to finding that spirituality that I once lost, because I thought I was okay and I'm, out here doing it. And you still pray, but really understanding where faith comes from, and
Mm.
that you can be broken. Those are things that, in choosing life every day to show up for yourself every single day, because living with an ostomy bag, it's a life that it changes you forever. And you have to teach yourself that it's okay, that you are now, my ostomy is a lifesaver. I'm no longer in the dark. I got to walk last year for at the table, which I'm an OG, as I say.
She a OG since
I'm an OG.
2018 now. You
I'm an
better ask
OG.
somebody.
And so, yes, and I got to walk, and it was just such a blessing to be around the ladies. Um, and sometimes, we kind of get in our groups like, okay, you got cancer, you got cervix, you got this.
Right, right, right,
What
right.
I'm learning also that it's medical conditions that are sometimes out of our control, and you
Yes.
need support. If I can't say anything as a Black woman, we have to put down the gatekeeping, put down the talking down, and really understand. Just to be kind, because you never know what someone is going through, and how your comment or what you say to them can change the directory of their life.
Amen.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that this support group does, and Pam has been a part of it. Even though we're on talk with Pam, she has close up and personal with the work that we do, and that is one of, Tanya, I don't even know if you remember when you first walked in the door at a casting call, you had such a, man, what's the word to describe it? Just such a big energy of light.
Yes.
And you came in and it was powerful. And it's like, oh my God, and that's when we first got introduced to the women. And I'm thinking, man, these women empowered me. Like, I'm the one that need empowered. And then when you said that you were looking at the other women and you found resilience, your
Yeah.
resilience is unspeakable. Yours is unspeakable. Like, I can't even fathom
Mm.
all of, I like like, it makes me like say stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in the bed and this back pain came over me and I couldn't walk. And then I thought I was never going to walk. And this was like over a period of 2 days. And I started mental health, like
Yeah.
your story, which you just like, I know we out of time, but
She
resilient,
she has
resilient.
more she has more stories that she will look. I can't say there's some
I
things that
know.
I'm trying not to think. I'm trying to think about how am I going to say that. There's more into the works, that you will get to hear more of the story, and so much more. And I am that is my job to keep poking her and making sure that you hear her story and you understand that she's not going to do this alone. Understand that, she is not going to do it alone, and she
That's
knows
right.
I'm walking next to her. But there's more that will be coming, and everyone needs to be, more forthcoming. Just watch her as it come to fruition. But note that, the story is powerful. But before we shut down, and we all go, because I could talk all day. Y'all know I can have y'all on here.
Well,
Oh,
you
I
only
know. We
give
all
us,
can be on here.
Be like,
you
damn.
can talk, I can talk.
I can talk. We be on here forever.
Right. Like, let me go get a snack real quick, and I'll tell
I
you.
know.
I know that's right. I will be here all day. But
Oh,
real quick, Deshaun, I want to give it back to you, and I want you to talk about a little bit about the mental health resources, if you could,
okay,
please.
sure, sure.
Thank you.
I know here in Columbus, Ohio, Central Ohio, you got the Adam H board. I know we've heard of it. Let me get to my there we go. We got the Adam H board, who they are sponsors this year for the fashion show. Yes, yes, yes. But they provide a variety of mental health and substance abuse services, including a crisis intervention through, they partner with Net Care Access. So they have been around. They're located downtown in ADAMH, ADAMH Board of Franklin County. And they oh, okay, it's called Reeb Avenue Center. Right?
Hmm?
Am I
Right.
saying that? Yeah,
Yes. You are.
REEB Avenue Center, and they include their services. Their mental health services include outpatient services and resources for men. They partner with the Face It Foundation. I don't know if we can put this somewhere where they can, maybe
We'll
you're
put
right.
it in the notes. We'll put it in the notes, show notes, so they
Okay.
can go back and do
Okay.
it.
Yep. And then for say when you talked about suicide, thinking, there is immediate crisis support through 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They are a 24/7 operation for crisis prevention for suicide. And then they also have a chat. So there's various ways you can connect. And they also have a crisis text line.
Mhm.
I name NAMI Franklin County. They provide Naomi. Yeah, not
Name me, not
you
me.
know what, it is the end of the day. So
I
anyway,
know, I know. It's okay. It's okay.
uh um Alvis Recovery
Hmm.
Choices, and the House of Hope Recovery and Ohio Guidestone. So we're going to put that in the notes, but those are resources that you could see what they offer, and you can tap into those. And then, like Tanya was saying, she found the support group there. You can always Google various support group, mental health men's support group, and you can see if that as well as benefits for outreach and support.
So with that, Tanya, would like to say anything?
Yes, I do have a ostomy support group. It's called Ostomy Warriors. It's locally right here in Columbus, Ohio. I am one of four groups. There's an support group in Cincinnati. There's an ostomy support group in
Oh,
Cleveland, and
okay.
there's an ostomy support group in Warren. There is ostomy support groups all over the United States. You can go to www.uoaa.org. We are also a donation hub. So with our ostomy support group, if ostomates, if you're having urostomy, colostomy, or ileostomy, you can contact me through cell 614-512-6511, or you can email me ostomywarrior25 at gmail.com. I work with local hospitals to help get those supplies to you, and they're donated free of charge. Again, the ostomy support group is a way to share stories, to share our stories without judgment, to lean on each other, how to encourage each other, but also, again, those supplies that a lot of us are in need of. We
Yeah.
are a donation hub. The closest one, like I said, is Cincinnati. We have Cleveland and Warren. And then there's a support group in Michigan that's close to us, as well as in Atlanta. So I do have access to those support groups to help you if you need, supplies. Because I know a lot of times our insurance do only give a certain amount,
Mhm.
and so, if you need those supplies, please do not hesitate to contact. If you're needing to be checked for your ostomy, you can go to the local ostomy clinic on East Main Street, and I'll make sure that Miss Pamela and Deshaun has that address.
Awesome.
Or if you are a part of the OSU um, hospital network, they have ostomy nurses that you can go into the clinic at the Martha Morehouse up off of Kenny Road, and they're available 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, either by phone or in person. Friday, they're in clinicals. If there's a question that you need from me, you can contact me, and I can make sure that you know to get that question answered. And then my last one is that if you go to the ER, you can ask for an advocate, and that's for any medical condition, and because they what they call these fast tracks. So if you are in the ER and you're in lots of pain, especially for ostomates or cancer patients or just any other medical situation crisis that's happening, you can ask for an advocate in the ER. Making sure that you know your my chart, looking at your my chart.
That's
Everybody,
it.
that is my challenge for you. Please,
Yes.
please, please, if you have not logged into your my chart or have a login for your my chart, please make sure that you do that. It is a
Yes.
great way for you to know your history, what they're writing in your notes, how to advocate for yourself. You know when the test results come, so you are better acquainted in your care and your care planning when you're getting ready to go home and be discharged. That My Chart, you can, get records if you need be, but it's just a great way for
Yeah.
you to be able to advocate for your own medical health is through your My Chart. And most hospitals, if not all of them, have it.
Absolutely. Well, you
And
guys,
thank you for Tanya, because I have that written down as the support group and what the need is in the beginning, because they don't know that. So that's good.
Okay.
And Pam, can we say a little bit about the fashion show before we
look,
leave?
I was just trying to say that. You were
We talking. She gave me two minutes now.
right, exactly. Real quick, everyone, I want you, before we go, two things. I have two announcements. First, we're going to wait till the woohoo. Do not forget, at the table does have a scholarship fund. I don't know when, but you can go on the website. We have it strolling down there to find out more information on the scholarship, who qualifies, and guess what? They're looking for donations. So there's no dollar amount that is small. There's no dollar amount that is big. They will not turn away any donations. The donations go towards the scholarship in honor of Miss Denise Pittman. So if you want to know more information about the scholarship, check it at the website below. Look, the website below. Look, I was making sure. If you have any questions, there's a phone number down there. They're always looking for volunteers, you guys. And the best place that you can go volunteer is this amazing event that Deshawn's going to talk about. Go ahead, Miss Deshawn.
Okay, real quick. So as we talk about our women cancer survivors that we support, we put on an annual benefit, and we are so happy to say that we are hosting our 8th annual fashion show honoring women cancer survivors on Sunday, September 28th. It is black and gold formal. Is it for formal wear? And we are looking forward to that. It's just going to be an amazing evening of celebration. For those that have attended in the past, we're doing a little bit different this year. And Tanya, just hearing that story, come on now, you got to come just celebrate based on that. Because she is truly a trooper. She's been in every last show, and she will be featured in this year's show, Threads of Hope, Loving Every Stitch. We got some amazing designers. We got a few, we're, like Pam mentioned, we're going to do our scholarship award. We have a community service excellent award. You're going to have appetizers, good food. And the good thing about it, tickets are on sale right now. Get your ticket. You can sponsor a table. You can sponsor a survivor. And I'll just tell you right now, it just went out today on our social media, like our page At the Table, Facebook At the Table Rocks, but everything is on the website, www.attrinc.org. And there's going to be a promotion going starting tomorrow at 6 a.m. through Friday at 11:59 p.m. Promo code, we've launched the designers, and based on, there's a promo code you put in and you can get your tickets for $95. And again, fashion show, meal, networking, vendors, resources, you get it all. And plus, it's a benefit. We're raising money for the Health and Wellness Initiative and the scholarship. So Wednesday through Friday, you got an opportunity to get your ticket at a discounted rate. And the featured designer today was Nikki. I gotta say her, Nicole Burton. Nicole Burton with Kinks by Nikki. Nicole, she was featured today, and promo go on sale. You don't want to miss this empowering evening, because these women, and we got men walking on behalf, but you know what? We're going to give them their flowers. We're going to celebrate them, and we're going to get educated a little bit. So get your tickets.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, everybody, I always give everybody a minute to go ahead and leave their lasting words with everyone.
I'm done.
So with that being said, we'll first let go. Mr. Kelly, what would you like to leave the listeners with?
I just want to thank you, ladies, for taking the time for letting me speak with y'all today, and I apologize for popping in and out. But just wanted to say kudos to your show and thank you. And like I said, anyone dealing with this, just keep a frame of mind. Just try to keep your emotions in check because it goes a long way in the healing process. And once again, I want to thank y'all ladies for having me on. And Tanya, I love you, and I'm glad you getting back up and running. Your usual 100 miles an hour. You're almost there. You're about 2% away, but
Right.
you about to
He
you
said
gonna get there.
100 miles.
Well, you
See,
gonna get there.
there. She almost there. She's like, just this one, look, just
Yeah,
this
yeah.
one
She
more.
right there.
Yeah, she
She right there.
Oh,
But ladies, I appreciate y'all. I got to get off of here, and I thank you again.
Thank you. Have a great
All
evening.
right, y'all ladies have a good rest of the week.
Thank
You too.
you.
All right.
Miss Tanya, what would you like to leave the listeners with?
just like thank you, Pamela and Deshaun, for just having this platform and for us to be able to share. For me, it's take one small victory at a time. It's okay to rest. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to grieve. And it's also, it's okay to be grateful for the small victories. Your awesome doesn't define your worth. It just allows you to live and be the best.
Love it. Deshaun.
No matter what life brings, you can get through it. Give God praise every day, even when you don't feel like it, and know
Mhm.
that the greater is coming.
I love it, ladies. What I want to say here is first and foremost, thank you, ladies. This was fun. You all know I love
Yes.
this was always as always. It was a fun and it was also impactful, as that's what we wanted to do, as well as we wanted to be purposeful. We want people to know what's going on. That there's things going on to be aware of it and be conscious of it. But I also want to tell everybody we only have one life to live, everyone. I need y'all to live it to the fullest. There's so much going on around us, and we are now seeing how life is to be appreciated. So take care of your life and go through and know that you rock and you're amazing. As look, I had amazing guests. But until next time, everyone, be on the lookout for Miss Tanya and her little something going on kind of thing, and be on the lookout and watch out for it. Until then, everyone, take care of yourself and see you next time.
Love
Bye,
you guys.
Have a
everybody.
good
Bye.
evening.